We've all got scars, some on the outside and some on the inside. But we can't be defined by our scars. I've spoken with some extraordinary people about how they've become empowered by their scars. This is I've Got Scars, baby.
Okay, so I am really excited about my next guest right now. Okay, so he has a lot of different titles, so I need y'all to, listen up and listen very clearly because this is Dr. Ryeal Simms, and he is they also call him the relationship scientist. That's pretty intense right there. But hold on, let me tell you all of the things. So cognitive neuropsychologist, behaviorist, certified relationship coach, and a sex expert. Woo! You got a lot of stuff going on now.
That's just half of it.
See, he like, look, y'all want me to get started because I can go there all the way there. I understand.
Behaviorist. I teach body language. I also teach neuroscience in OptiMind Institute. Wow. I also work in the industry as a consultant for love theme type films as well. Awesome. It could go on.
That's incredible. I mean, I think that's just such, especially these days, I feel like having an understanding of love, relationships, how all of this stuff works. That's just so valuable, especially these days. Because I feel like everybody's like, I don't get it. I don't know what is what. I know that this, I'm supposed to like, I like this person. That person kind of like me. I'm not sure. Like, I just feel like it's a lot of wires being crossed. So today we're going to talk about the anatomy of a healthy relationship. So yes, we're going to get all the way into it. We're going to get into it. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk about the initial stages of attraction, because a lot of times I remember you and I, we had another show that we were on and we kind of talked about that. And it's like, do we connect with one another because it's just like, ooh, he fine. Or, ooh, guys like, hey, whoever, like, oh, she fine, or whoever. Is it just about what a person looks like, or is it something a little deeper?
Yeah, it is. It's actually something a little deeper. Initially, yes, we look at each other and we find the symmetry and the golden ratio, the symmetry of the face, how it looks, and the golden ratio of the body. But after that, then when two people are actually interact with each other, then we're talking about chemistry. We're talking about if it's, what's happening when we are actually receiving messages from our bodies that's telling us whether we should continue to pursue this person. And it could either tell us a good thing or it could tell us a bad thing. The only problem is that sometimes we ignore when we hear the bad thing, right? When we're having that feeling, that uncomfortable feeling, when we're saying to ourselves, it's something about that person that's making me feel uncomfortable, and we ignore it. And that's something that we should not do. And to be more aware that we have like this best friend inside of us, right? And it's in our brain. It's this in our limbic system, this thing that's called the amygdala. And not only that, but there's other brain regions that's actually doing its own work, that's actually doing its work on its own without our knowledge, without it's anatomic. It's actually because the body is saying, I want to be with someone that's going to make me happy. I want to be with someone that I am compatible with. So there's the difference though. So we're talking about social compatibility, and then we're talking about the histocompatibility, right? The major histocompatibility, that's the chemistry.
Okay.
Right? So it's important to have both, but when we first meet each other, it's just basically on the chemistry right now.
Okay.
It's basically on the major histocompatibility complex, and it's based on what's happening, the chemistry that we're sending off, pheromones that we may send off. you might be ovulating that day that
Mm-hmm.
I met you. So when you're ovulating, you may be sending off compulence. And when I smell your compulence, I may be sending off something that's called androstenone.
Mm-hmm.
And you smell the androstenone. Next thing you know, we're having sex on the first night. So, all of that stuff is happening. But yeah, initially when you first see the person, oh my God, she's beautiful, symmetric symmetry got it going on.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a next step that has to happen. So once you interact, once you come together with that person, then there's other things that's happening right now, but we don't realize it, right?
Okay.
Every living, breathing animal actually does the exact same thing. It's not just us. When two canines come together, the first thing they do is what? Smell.
Yeah, each other. Yeah. So,
And yeah.
so I have a question. So now, I have to ask. You said, and I'm gonna pronounce. This is not gonna be pronounced correctly. The androstenone. I don't know. I just had to make it
Yes.
all the way wrong.
Yes. You were
But
close.
are you trying to tell me? Because some people are like, yeah, the one night stands and stuff like that. Well, I just had a little too much alcohol, or it's just been a long time. So are you trying to say that no, somebody has sprayed on some extra androstenone and they just snatched it up? Like what is this? Can we blame it on the androstenone instead of the alcohol? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because it's another thing that we call the human leukocyte antigens. And what that's actually doing is it's when we talk about the smell, when it's smelling, it's actually checking out your DNA. It's checking out your immune system. And so what it's doing is it's actually seeing if we have the opposite match. And so that's what's really important to the DNA, that it's actually seeing if you have the opposite match, because the opposite match is telling us that if we pair bond, we would make a perfect child, right? Because it's not looking for the same match of our DNA. It's looking for the opposite match of the DNA. That is what a match is. And when it's finding that, then it says, hey, yeah, let's do this because I found an opposite match. Sometimes it's not an opposite match, but sometimes we force that too.
But we're not listening.
We're not listening. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
okay. Now, just to be clear, when you say the opposite match, you hear the concept of opposites attract.
Right.
Now, of course, there's, you always feel like there needs to be some commonalities when it comes to dating someone or, being in relationship with someone. But the opposite match, is that more about, kind of if someone has certain qualities that, maybe your weaknesses, and so you guys have more of a compatibility in that way, where like, what is the opposite match the way you describe it?
Yeah, the opposite match is actually our opposite of our DNA. The opposite DNA of yours. My DNA can't be close to similar DNA as yours, and then because the body will reject that person, because it's sort of like, have you ever heard about not having a child by a family member? Right?
I was about to say kissing cousins type of situation. So basically that's what it's saying. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So it tries to stay away from a similar.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So now we understand that there's a lot of factors that go into whether or not somebody's drawn to someone. And really quick, I don't want to brush past this. When you talk about facial symmetry, I understand the concept of facial symmetry, but then you also said something about body something.
The golden ratio, the body shape.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
because
what is that? How does that factor from the most instinctual way?
Well, the first thing we do is, not only smell, well, actually the first thing we do is the body scan. So we scan, and we're scanning for things. We're scanning for information. We're scanning for data about that person that we could pick up, right? We pick up if she's useful, if not useful, what's the word? What's the term? Young, young and fresh and
virile, yeah.
And we look at the breast to see if you are of childbearing. We look at the hips to see if you're childbearing, right? And because sometimes we think we're really looking at it just only based on lustful sex, but it's actually spiritual sex, because we're actually looking to see if you have the qualities for us to pair bond, right? So if you have firm breasts, then it's telling me that you are, baby carrying time right now. And it's, so we are more attractive. If you have a firm chest as the man, the woman is looking at that. If you have the square chin, stuff like that, then you're looking at testosterone, right? So it's doing it on its own. It's doing this body scan on its own, because it's really not doing it to say, hey, we'll be a good match to be girlfriend, boyfriend. It's like, we'll make a good match to not only procreate, but also woman is looking that if he is fit enough to protect not only me, because when we say, usually we hear the term, I want to just feel safe and secure, but it's not just for her, but it's for her offspring.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you say that, because a lot of times I think a lot of people might be beat up in certain ways for expressing what they're attracted to physically, or even I guess financially, because if you think about what a woman, like you said, she's looking at, are you physically fit enough to take care of me and the children? And then, I would imagine that kind of moves into, we correlate that to money and finances as well. And then men are looking at a woman's body and physique, and it's like, okay, can we have babies together? That's the natural way to observe someone.
Absolutely.
And so I only bring that up again because a lot of times people are like, well, why are you looking at it like this? Why are you, it's like, why are you ogling me, or why are you, but it's a lot of chemistry or natural things.
That's a good point. You're so right, because we get pissed off, right?
Yeah.
That the person is looking at me that way, right? Yeah. And that's something else too. This is a tangential. It's a little off the topic, but I'm going to get back. But I'm going to be doing this thing, and I was going to do it in London. I'm going to be doing this thing with another person about the clothes that you wear, right? And feeling confident in the clothes that you wear, not wearing the clothes because that's the fad and everybody else is wearing that same top, right? And that same top is revealing, but yet you're constantly you're constantly covering. And I understand if something is going to pop out, but that's not why you're covering. You know that you're secure as far as your nipples popping out. You're secure with that. But the reason why you're doing it is because this person is looking at what you're revealing. And you're feeling uncomfortable because this person is looking at what you're revealing, right? Because that's the top you choose to put on before you left the house, right? And this judge on television, the first African-American judge, I forgot her name, but
Maybelline Ephraim?
Yes, okay. That's her. So she's on, right? And a young lady, she says, wait, stop. She said, young lady, did you know that was a tank top that you had on before you left the house? And she said, yes. She said, then why are you trying to pull it down? Why do you keep pulling it down? That's interrupting me. That's distracting me. She said, are you trying to pull it down? Because you know how the sheriff sits next to her? She said, is he looking at you and you feel uncomfortable? Did you know other men was going to look at you other than the men that you want to look at you? Right? So what's so serious about that is that says that that person isn't confident in what they have on. And the danger of that is the man who's looking for weak women.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
That is so profound. And that is, wow. Because yeah, now you feel really exposed. Like you wanted to look cute. You're like, oh, I'm new to this. And here's the thing is that I know what it feels like to cover up and to hide because of my scars.
Yes.
But it is a very different energy when you embrace what you have. So the idea is embrace the clothing that you have on to the point where you feel incredibly confident, whatever it is. Like, I'm not saying that you have to have a whole bunch of stuff on. You can have pasties on, but the idea is what you're saying is to be very confident in whatever that is, because then you can open yourself up to predators. Wow.
That is, look, that's how that's how terrorists recruit. Terrorists recruit on how boys walk, and if they slump, if they walk sad, if they walk unconfident, that's what the terrorists go and get, because you got to get somebody to convince them to put bombs on you and then to run into a place and blow yourself up.
Wow.
So when you mention scars, a real man will appreciate you even more, because he's like, wow, she is really confident. She's like, hey, I'm being me, I'm showing me, and I'm not hiding me. Now imagine women who don't have scars and you just, and they're constantly, it's like, hey.
Yeah, if there's any, whoever's listening, if there is any reason for you to be confident and to do the work it takes to fully embrace yourself as you are, whatever height, size, cup size, whatever it is, embrace it, fully embrace it, because confidence is not, it sounds like confidence is not only just, fit like attractive to people, generally speaking, but it can also just save your life. It can also protect you as well. Wow.
Absolutely.
That's very powerful. Thank you.
Absolutely. It can definitely protect you. It can definitely protect you. That's why when we, when people say, hey, the bear comes after you, you got to show the bear, you got to do something, take a chance, and just, you raise your chest up too.
Let's say get big.
Get big
for the bear. Yeah.
Like, hey, but yeah, absolutely. It's the same. It's that confidence, man. I know we went off when there was a tangent.
No. I'm so glad that you presented that, like that you shared that. That's really, really important. That's really important. So we talked about the initial stages of attraction. So when we're talking about bonding, like you meet the person, they passed your initial sniff test, you connected with one another.
Yes.
What is that thing that actually keeps two people together? Is it, you talk about chemistry, you talk about connection and all that kind of stuff. Is it just is it communication, or is it also really a scientific, connection that people have?
Yeah. Well, all of those chemicals and everything that I talk about is one of the major things that keep us bonded, that keeps us together, to pair bond us, right? Because that's actually why it was really created, is to keep you now, right? So certain chemicals come out, and then when you bond, then there's more chemicals that are also being released, right? To keep us bonded, to keep us close. And something that we didn't mention too, that didn't have anything to do with chemicals, but our social compatibility as well. That's once the chemistry does its thing, right? Because it's doing its thing on its own. Once the chemistry does its thing, then it's time for you to work on the social compatibility part, right? You're a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. you're an actor, I'm an actor. Oh, wow, that's totally cool.
Yeah.
You like sci-fi, I like sci-fi, like, oh yeah, yeah, we got some things in common,
Yeah.
right? Social compatibility, right?
Okay.
Versus the major histocompatibility, right? So the major histocompatibility keeps us together. So it starts letting out those different pheromones, neurotransmitters. Say too, when you're in bed,
Mm-hmm.
I always ask couples, do you ever sometimes when your significant other gets out of the bed first, do you ever find yourself gravitating to his side or gravitating to her side? And they're like, yeah, I do. Well, that's because the DNA is on the sheet and on the pillow. So you end up gravitating. So you're still with your significant other. And that's to keep you bonded to as well. So all of those things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so if there's a ratio, like what's more important, the chemistry element versus the social construct type element? Is there one that's more important, or are both equally important?
Both equally important, because without the other, you have one-sided relationship, and then that's when it's time to get help, because one person desires both, right? They
Yeah.
hey, we're having sex, that's cool, we're touching, that's cool, but what about us going someplace and doing something? What about adding some novelty into our relationship, right? What about, watching a movie with me? What about sitting down and getting some popcorn and having a conversation? What about, having a wonderful romantic dinner on the balcony, if we can't go out and go,
Yeah.
to a park or something for now, right? During the
Yeah.
pandemic. What about just, what about all those things you told me you love doing? The
Mm-hmm.
social compatibility, right? Or opposite, we do all of that, but no affection. We don't
Yeah.
touch each other. We don't cuddle with each other.
Yeah.
We're laying on the couch watching TV, but we're so separate, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm counseling couples, that's the first thing I'm looking at, is when they sit down on the couch. Even on, I ask them, like for you guys to set up, close to a couch or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing I look at is to see how separate they are, right? And then when they're separate, to see the direction their legs are in. And they might be facing this way, right? Away from each other, and so we know that the chemistry, that's something that we have to really work on. Yeah.
Wow. So you can work on the chemistry.
You can work on the chemistry. You could work on it once, because sometimes you might discover that it's not him or it's not her. Well, what I mean by that is that it's not the sex that's keeping them from touching or hugging or wanting to cuddle with each other. That there might be a psychological reason why it's
Yeah.
happening. It may be, it could be, bipolar or something, that we could discover. It might be depression. It might be stress,
Yeah.
right?
Gotcha. So it could be life
From
stuff.
it could be life stuff. And then
Yeah.
you discover that, then you can come back together again.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
So do you believe in things like soulmates, twin flames, all that kind of stuff? Like people who are destined to be together? Is that scientific? I don't know.
With the soulmate,
Mm-hmm.
with the soulmate, when we talk about soulmate from a scientific point of view,
Mm-hmm.
we can't say it's only one soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
That really wouldn't be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritually speaking, it wouldn't be fair either.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we're talking about is, I meet her and we're 18, we're 19. I go to the military. I'm 23 now, 25. So people are saying, the brain doesn't develop till age 25 almost, right? Fully developed.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're grown. So we don't use that as an excuse. We're too young, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I happen to get shot and I happen to die.
Mm.
That was your soulmate. I'm having to die. So what should she do now?
Yeah. Yeah.
What should she do? Should she? I mean, that
Yeah.
was your soulmate. So my point is that it's just not one soulmate.
Yeah.
It's just not one soulmate. You have this combination. Remember when I was saying when you meet and they're looking for your DNA, they're looking for that opposite match. You have your combination. You have your number. And when you meet somebody else, you find that number. You find that lock, that combination. You're like, oh, wow. Now you might feel guilty because of how you're feeling about this new person, right?
Yeah.
Because you felt that person was your soulmate and this person couldn't be my soulmate. That was my soulmate. This is just somebody. That's not fair either, to label this person as just somebody, right? And that person was your soulmate, right?
Yeah.
That's just not fair. God wouldn't do that to us.
Yeah. So maybe from a scientific perspective, it's almost like maybe not label it, just kind of let it be what it is and kind of let it, it doesn't have to be a soulmate or whatnot. It's just you two connect, you two have a bond, and you kind of move according to that bond, that chemistry, that connection you have, and kind of let it be. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm sure that people might be waiting on this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. We got to go there. We got to go there. So how does sex impact a relationship? And we're talking about positive, negative, whatever, good or not so good. How does it affect?
Yeah, it really does affect, because what we're saying is if we're not getting it from our significant other, why? And am I not desirable? Can a relationship last without it? If there's an understanding for some type of medical reason, then we graduate to a mature stage. We're like, hey, yeah, I get it. But if there's nothing wrong physically, and we're not having sex, we're not touching, there's a concern. And that concern is, what am I doing wrong? Is it me? Am I no longer desirable? Do you no longer find me attractive? Right? Do you no longer want to, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Right. And that's what starts to happen in our psyche. We start questioning ourselves to what's going on. And then sometimes we even blame ourselves when it may be your significant other, and it may be the reason why you should get counseling, because you may discover why, right? Is it as important when you get older? It's not as important, right? Because, now we know we're old and we can't do what we used to do. And, thank God that we are at stage 5 in our love, and we love each other and we're bonded. And, if anything we could do to turn each other on, give each other a little smack kiss, or kiss a little bit, or touch a little bit, because, we may not can perform, right? But we find ways that we can still please each other and still, keep each other happy. Yeah.
Okay. So when we're thinking about sex, and then we're thinking about like the concept of, can two people just kind of be a friends with benefits type of situation? Or is that really a recipe for disaster?
Disaster.
And
It
why is
is.
that? And why is that?
Just because we're trying to force, we're trying to go against the laws of nature, right? And eventually somebody is going to have some type of feelings, you know? I mean, look, we're employees. We're employees, and you know, God is in business, and we work for Him, and His business is to generate babies, you know, to put humans on this earth.
Yeah.
And so when we start thinking about, you know, not loving and love, too, just the image of love, for kids can see love, so we could see what love looks like. You know, He gave us love too, right?
Yeah.
And so what we do is try to go against that love. We try to go against it, and we try to just do this one thing. But why? Why are you trying to go against it? What, you know, let's dig deep and find out, why are you not wanting to use what you have, this gift that the universe gave you, and that's to love somebody. So why do you say to yourself, I don't want to love somebody, I just want to sex somebody? Right?
Okay. So I'm so glad that you asked that, because a lot of times, you know, it seems, you know, I've observed certain conversations and different things, and a lot of times it does seem like people are willing to kind of put their parts out there, but not necessarily put their hearts out there. And so a lot of times, this is not about blaming anyone, but because, you know, I guess emotions, like when you have a heartbreak, when you have that kind of experience.
Yes.
How damaging really is that to a person when you feel like, say you really bonded with a person?
Yes.
And it went away.
It's, man,
like this is your person, and then not necessarily that they died, but it was a breakup or something happened.
It's I'm glad you said that. When you said not that somebody died, it's the exact same feeling. It's no different. You are losing someone. You are losing someone. Just imagine what we do when we lose someone. How many people are in prison today from losing a girlfriend, a wife, a husband, or a boyfriend? People who've done stuff to that person. People are dead because of losing a breakup. A breakup has caused many people to be killed.
Wow.
That's just how serious it is, just how much an impact it has on us, because it's a grieving process. We're still going through the same grieving process, to the point where we will kill you, right?
Wow.
Not only that, the grieving is so strong that the grieving itself will kill you. It's something that's called the Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, heartbreak. You know, when you hear somebody die, and then the significant other dies a week after. It's the exact same thing. That's how powerful it is. Part of you have died when your significant other died. Because, do it again, hold your hand up again, what'd you do? That's one. Bonded. You're bonded. And when you become one, that's the whole significance of when we say become one. You do become one. You spiritually, scientifically, and I have to say, when I use the word science, I mean that science is merely the discovery of what God created. Right? So when you bond yourself, man, that's a serious bond. We actually have to go through that grieving and thank God that we made it through without being killed, killing, or dying from it.
Wow. Okay. I just want to say, because I felt like heartbreak was a real thing. But like just hearing you talk about like just kind of co-signing that it really is like a death in some sort of way. There's like a missing part of you. And I would imagine that can bring on people depression. And, but nobody talks about, it's always kind of like, all right, get over it, move on.
Get over it.
This person wasn't for you.
Yes. They always, get over it. It's time to move on and all that. That you have no idea what that body is going through. That body is yearning for that person or for a person like that. I know we're not talking about detox, but just real fast, when gosh, there's so much I would like to add to it. Mm-hmm. When someone says, why do I keep attracting the same person over and over again? Right? It's because the body hasn't detoxed from that person yet. You're still yearning. You're still grieving for that person. So what you do is you go to a club, you go to a party, or you go to an event, and the body will seek out someone similar to your ex.
Yeah.
Remember when I was talking about the DNA, right?
Yeah.
The smell, the characteristics. Wow, that person walks like, that person smiles like, right? Because we do a body scan. So it's going, hey, that person, the body is saying itself, that person reminds me of John, that pleases me, that causes me to release those natural chemicals that make me feel good, oxytocin, vasopressin, phenylethylamine, dopamine, right? And you are active and not passive. So when you say, why do I keep attracting the same person over and over again? In most cases, when you're dealing with that grief, you are not attracting, you're seeking. You're looking for somebody like your ex.
Wow.
You just find somebody similar to your ex in a different body.
Wow. So how do you, like, say the relationship, say it wasn't the most healthful relationship, and it wasn't necessarily, I guess, God's best for you. How do you detox yourself from the person?
And this isn't a bad relationship, you're saying, right?
I mean, so, okay, I guess I'll ask, will we only have that kind of bond with someone where it really is like, wow, that person is a wonderful person, and for some reason right now, maybe the timing was off or just things didn't work, but we separated. Yeah. So I think is that where you start kind of dating people that are kind of like that person, just kind of in hopes maybe that person will come back to you? Or is it, if you're dating someone where you say, I'm always dating the same kind of person, but it's not the good kind of person for you?
Yeah. Great one. Yeah, you could do the same. You could do the exact same. You could start looking for a great person because that was a great person, right? And it start looking for that great person too as well. And just as well as the negative. What's it called?
Like a trauma bonding type of thing, or
well, like a trauma bonding and a what do we call it? Repetition disorder, but it's another term. But because we're doing this over and over again, right? And sometimes you might find someone similar to the person, and that's a good thing if it's a good person.
Yeah.
Bad thing if it was a bad person.
Gotcha.
But if you just want a total different person, right? Then detox yourself completely from good or bad. And
how do you do that?
Good question, right? For bad or good, right? How
Yeah.
do you detox? That was funny the way you said. You was like, how do you do that?
I'm sure somebody's like, please just tell me, how do I get rid of it? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. It's the same. It's no different than us because we're addicted.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no different than someone being addicted to a drug.
Okay.
It's no different. You know, if the drug addict, if that drug addict's drug dealer goes to jail, will he stop taking drugs because his dealer is in jail?
Mm-hmm.
No, he's going to go out and try to find another drug dealer. And he's going to find the drug dealer that's similar to this drug dealer. Why? Because he's not looking for a marijuana dealer. He's looking for a cocaine dealer.
Yeah.
Right? So that's who he's going to go out and look for. And that's what we do. We go out and try to find something similar while we're going through this grieving process.
Yeah.
Right? And that will help us. That will make us feel good. We're like, oh yeah, he's similar. But then when we realize that this guy is just like my ex that I don't like, right? Then we discover, because we'll discover it later, right? You know, once you go into those certain stages of of love, right, of relationship. So once you start getting to know the person, you realize, God doggone it, he's the same as my ex, right? And then that's why we come out with that term. Why do I keep attracting the same guy over and over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So how? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So you get rid of stuff. You get rid of pictures. You get rid of that you know, the telephone numbers. You don't go to those places that you guys used to go to, you know, to enjoy. You don't go to that park that you guys used to have picnics at, right? I'm sorry, using the word picnic. You don't go to the movie theaters that you usually go to, right? Because what that's doing is it triggers the memory bank, right? This little part of the brain that we have called the hippocampus, and that's where we store memories. So the minute you go someplace, the next thing you know, you've triggered that memory of him, and all over. Now you want to talk to him. You might even, you know, text him. You might call him. You don't want to be touched. You know, you don't want him to come by and touch you, even though it could be pretty challenging if you have kids. You know, how do I do that if I have kids? How do I detox from him when he has to come and get the kids? When we have business together and I got to see him, right? It's about minimizing as much as time that you can. If you have a best friend and you need to give him some papers, let your best friend give him those papers, right? If he's coming to pick up the kids, then let the kids run from the door to the car, right? You know, if it's safe, right? And you know, try to minimize as much, because you don't, all it takes is just for him touching you. Because the minute he touched you, we're talking about something that we have that's the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. That's our nervous central nervous system that tells us things about our body, what's happening wrong and everything, right? Well, our skin also has the same thing. So when that person touches your skin, you know, the signals will go up our vagus into our hippocampus, and when it goes to our hippocampus, then it also triggers the pleasure center part of our brain, the ventral tegmental area, the caudate nucleus, the nucleus accumbens area. And that's the part that causes you to become aroused. Nipples get hard, you start getting lubricated just from the thought that, hey, this is the person that causes me to feel good, that triggers my oxytocin, the bonding chemical that bonds us together. Well, those chemicals are activated all over again. And next thing you know, and two, not only just the touch, all it could take too as well is, baby, I really miss you. And
I tell you.
That's all it takes.
Okay, if this is not the reason for people to like, please do everything you can to not let the Andromeda or whatever that was called earlier that we was talking about, that I told you I was gonna get wrong. I knew I got it wrong again. So don't let it get all up in there if you know that this is not a person that you feel like you can really bond with, like on a long if that's what you're looking for, this long-term type of experience, because it sounds to me like it just becomes a cycle if the individuals involved aren't healthy.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And like
Absolutely.
that, and then you slap some sex on top of that, and it's just like, okay, and now you didn't seal the deal on some stuff that you don't want to be sealing the deal on.
That you don't want to seal the deal on, because, you know, we and the thing is that we play games with these drugs, right? We say, oh, you know, friend with benefits, right? You just might get with the wrong person that's going to release those drugs. And next thing you know, now you want to start a relationship with this person. And that person's like, what? No, you know, no, you said friends with benefits, but now you're addicted.
Yeah.
These are drugs. These are drugs. What makes you think you can't get, who are you over billions of people who have been on this earth that have gone through this, and but you're different.
You know, that's real. Because it's at the end of the day, it's kind of like, don't play with God. If we, you know, if you are a spiritual person, if you are a person that, you know, believes in a higher power, it's like, well, these chemicals are arranged and they are activated by certain things, whether it's physical touch or just hearing someone or smelling someone. There are a lot of things that we're not paying attention to on a conscious level that we're being stimulated by. So then if you are just finding yourself just kind of moving in that direction, it's like, well, that's because that is what those chemicals are for. Like the stuff is doing its job. And so for you to get yourself
down, man, the way
for you to get yourself,
I need the video of this.
Absolutely.
I need the editor to move you away and just cut that part of you explaining. That was so very well said, the way you just broke it down.
Yeah, it's like, this is doing its job and you trying to go against the current. And it's like, that's so much energy.
Wow, that was
try to go against the current of where it's naturally supposed to flow in. And it's like, you're not gonna hop into the river as it's rushing and think you're gonna go the other way. That's what it sounds like.
The current is going that way. You just say, oh, I'm gonna jump in here and I'm gonna swim this way.
Now I have a question, because a lot of times you hear men say they're okay with having a strictly sexual relationship and nothing more. And then sometimes women will say, well, you know, not saying that women, you know, don't feel like they're okay with that too. Like, but a lot of times, you know, you hear this concept of, you know, men can do that, but women can't. Is that 100% true for anybody?
No. You see, again, that's just not a fair statement. That's not a fair statement, because check this out. Mm-hmm. We're working for an entrepreneur who's trying to do what? To make sure that he keeps making babies. And if that's the case, then you wouldn't have no man ever married to a woman. If men are married to women, why? Why did you marry her? Just for sex? Right? You're like, no, I love her. Oh, really? But you a man. But you a man. You can control that love, the love stuff. You don't have to fall in love. You a man, right? That's what we think.
Yeah.
But what did I say? See, even we think because we're a man, but what did I say? How many men that's in prison right now? How many men that's in prison right now? Because maybe they didn't kill their wife, but maybe they went and did something bad because she left you. So, but what's happening? You're a man. Isn't that something that you can handle? Because you're a man?
Yeah.
We put ourselves on this imperialistic, narcissistic, supercilious draconian type of pedestal that we are, better than the woman when it comes to emotions. We are just as emotional as woman, but we're being taught this man up, don't cry, and all of that, right?
Yeah.
But we get caught. Even, I mean, I'm not, I've seen pimps, and I don't do that no more. It's like, oh, really? Yeah, man, I'm married. Whoa. You got married? I thought you were like, can't no woman could. We're human.
I love that. I love that because it, because like you said, society is notorious for telling men, you don't have emotions, suck it up, get over it, whatever. And they're not really able to embrace their emotional selves, I think, as much as women are allowed to embrace our emotional selves. And then, but when you talk about love and you talk about, yes, and vulnerability, absolutely. But when you talk about love and all of that, it's kind of like love and men. It feels like it's like a huge thing for you to kind of give up this single man lifestyle to move into a relationship and to be married and that kind of a thing. And I'm not saying that it's not huge, but it's almost it's looked at differently, I think, for men than women, because women are tend to, you're brought up to desire this, and that is so, this is so important for you to do as a woman. But I like what you're saying. It's like, hey, sir, I know that you over here in this big pimping. You've been doing that for a while, but your heart wants more. You're more than just, I'm about to go sleep with whoever. Like, there's other elements and sides to you that you have to explore. And so don't be surprised when there's a woman that you just feel so connected with. Absolutely. That it happens.
That it actually happens. And you're saying to yourself, wow, wait, how did that happen? How? I'm a player, how did that happen? But it's that combination. You will run into somebody who has that combination with you, and you next thing you know, you're feeling that feeling, and you're going, wow, what the heck is going on?
Yeah. I think that's so beautiful. That's really, 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 really beautiful. Absolutely. I love it. So, okay. I'm gonna just have to say, this is intriguing to me. This has been so long. Like, we didn't been here for a while, but I'm loving this conversation. I have to just say that. And I appreciate your time so much. I just had to take like a little praise break to be like, wow, this is just fascinating to me. I got to tell you, I'm so grateful. So how do we cultivate a healthy relationship? Like, you've already bonded, you're together. I'm sure everybody's had their own individual trauma that they've brought from other relationships or childhood or whatever. How do you get together and do the work, whatever that work is, to stay together?
Yeah. We have to go through these stages and understand the stages that we go through. We have to understand that, and I'm glad you're doing this, because asking me this question educates people to be more mindful of the process of getting to the point where you have a vitalized, harmonious, cohesive working relationship. And now that we're here, everything that you said, now that we're here and we're doing our thing and everything is going wonderful, now it's understanding that there's going to be a part, there's going to be a stage where all of that happiness and joy and drugs and all that it's going to be reduced. It's going to come down. It's not going to be as high. It's just going to come down a little, right? And this is the time now where we acknowledge, where we start learning more about each other. When we start learning about, he squeezed the toothpaste in the middle and not the end, and leaves his socks out, and we start learning about the real person, right? And are those deal breakers, or are those things that you can deal with in a relationship, because none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
Although you thought he was, although you thought she was, but we're not perfect.
Yeah.
And this is when you start putting effort into the relationship. And what I mean by that is falling in love takes no effort. You don't try to fall in love.
Yeah.
You don't work at falling in love. You fall in love. You meet somebody and you get all of the things that we've been talking about today. You start experiencing all of the oxytocins, all the neurochemicals and the pheromones and all that. Of course, you're in an altered state of consciousness, a euphoria high right now, right? You are literally smelling drugs, right? You may not be smoking them, but you're smelling them, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's making you high on this person,
Yeah.
right? And that's what, we start getting addicted to the person. But now when we start learning, it's all about understanding the processes that we're going to go through, and knowing the processes that we're going to go through, knowing that it's not going to always be 100%. Sometimes it's going to be 30-70, right? Knowing that we're going to have to now learn how to understand each other when we are communicating, because I don't like saying the key to a great relationship is communication without saying we all communicate.
Yeah.
And it's impossible that we stop communicating.
Yeah.
Because if we don't communicate verbally, we're communicating non-verbally. So we don't stop communicating.
Yeah.
So it's really about understanding the communication. That's what's important.
Yeah.
To make sure that we're understood when we're talking, we're understood when we're trying to get our point across.
Yeah.
That we're using techniques like mirroring each other's conversation. So what I'm hearing you say is, just in case it gets heated, a heated conversation, you use that tool, right? And knowing how to communicate, making sure that you keep novelty in the relationship. What I mean by that is making sure that you keep new things into the relationship.
Yeah.
You're not just being, doing boring things
Yeah.
constantly where it's predictable. You come home, you eat, you watch television, you go to bed.
That
doesn't stimulate.
No.
That doesn't cause you to arousal.
Yeah.
That doesn't do that, right?
Yeah.
So it's about keeping that novelty. I love mentioning the novelty to keep the spark in that relationship, doing something new, doing something different, even if it's something stupid, making each other laugh. If you have to do a stupid dance or something, to make the person laugh, then do it, right? When people go venture into the mountains to jump off the mountain with the parachutes, right? When they're on the mountain, just on the mountain, they activate the mesolimbic dopaminergic part of the brain, the pleasure center that causes us to receive dopamine. So when we're on it, we're receiving anticipation drug, dopamine. So we're getting dopamine right there because we're hyper, right? Oh gosh, I can't wait. Wow, this is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be awesome. Woo! How do you feel, dude? It's like, man, this is gonna be a trip, man. I'm freaking out right now. My heart is beating and everything, right? Adrenaline is running, right? Soon as you jump and you hit the ground, that was awesome. You receive serotonin, makes you feel so good that you want to go back up and do it again, right? So you do it again. You do it again. Eventually what?
Eventually it's not as fun.
It's not as fun. Eventually it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh well, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when eventually when that happens, what happens is that they go and find a new mountain. So if we're not in sync with each other, and you don't want to go find a new mountain together, let's go find a new mountain. Novelty, right?
Yeah.
What happens? One of you may go and find a new mountain.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't take that much to find a new mountain, right? Because all it could take is, going to the gym and your little workout trainer, not little, I'm just saying, your workout trainer be like, hey, yeah, I got these tickets for such and such, would you like to go? Or you're like, oh yeah. And now you're doing something different. You're doing something new, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I got this ticket for trainers to go to, and they hike and exercise and all that. Would you like to go?
And then shenanigans pops off.
That's right.
So together, but I imagine if you're communicating and the communication is really, really good, you both probably feel the lull in the relationship and you feel like a little like, this feels a little dry. So when you feel that lull, is it like, okay, let's just go find a new mountain? Whatever that mountain is, it can be a vacation. It could be
just getting in the car driving on the freeway.
Yeah, like something out of the norm.
Something out of the norm. Because the body really tells you when we talk to each other, we might say, your significant other may say, hey, let's go for a drive. She's not saying that just because she saw it on a movie or something or read a book.
Yeah, wow.
She's saying, I want to do something.
Yeah.
I'm tired of what we've been doing. I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm really bored. And sometimes we may say, I don't feel like it. You got to get up and do it.
Yeah.
Because that person is really sending a signal. That person is telling you something.
Yeah. Wow. That is so profound. I love that because honestly, that's kind of simple.
Yeah.
Like going to Six Flags and getting on a roller coaster can literally save your marriage is what it sounds like.
That's right. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of way, like if we look at it as like, oh, that sounds a little bit better than a divorce and breaking up the whole family.
Because I was just on with another psychologist. I don't want to try to say her name and say it wrong, but she mentioned something when it comes to arousal. And going to the amusement park is arousal.
Yeah.
We don't just get arousal just from sex.
Yeah.
But it's other things that we do.
Yeah.
That could also help us experience arousal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we get arousal from all kinds of different things. It causes us to, release those same chemicals and cause us to experience those same kind of drugs. So imagine being aroused at the amusement park, and then come home.
Aha. Okay. I feel like some relationships getting saved all up and through here. They're like, you trying to tell me we could have just went bowling and my life would have been better? What? Like,
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? Like, that is so simple, but it makes a lot of sense because like the chemicals, just by being around each other at first, just the initial interaction, those chemicals are what aroused us and made us excited to be around each other. But like you said, those chemicals go away after a while. So you have to have something else to kind of help stimulate the chemicals and help that stuff to come back. So I love that so much. I think that is fantastic.
Her name is Rosina.
Rosina. Okay.
Rosenna. Yeah.
That's
her last name Bakari. She's a psychologist.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's just really brilliant and simple. And I'm sure both of y'all could come up with some stuff to do.
Yeah.
That would
absolutely. We could come up with stuff. It doesn't even have to be expensive. You don't even have to have money to come up with stuff.
Yeah.
Things and enjoy yourself. Hey, if you can't get on the Queen Mary, that for those of you that's not in California, we have this big what do you call it?
Giant ship boat.
Giant ship or boat. And it's stationary. It's just there. But they have fireworks there.
Because they say it's haunted.
Right. It's haunted. And they have the fireworks there. But you don't have to get on that boat. You don't have to spend money to get on that boat. You can be on the other side of Long Beach and watch the fireworks there.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's experiences. And maybe instead of because a lot of times we get caught up in our day-to-day and our job, kids, or whatever. But maybe instead of, even if we hear our significant other saying, I'm bored, I want to do more stuff. Like maybe instead of just looking at it as like, oh, we got to do something else. Maybe we could say, hey, if he or she is bored, I probably am too, but I'm too focused on the other stuff going on in my life right now and too distracted with work or stressed out or the kids to really be fully in tune with myself. I'm probably bored too, and I could probably use this excursion. And so just, you know what I'm saying, just give it kind of the benefit of the doubt, and just say, yeah, let's do something just because. And then sometimes you have to be in it in order to actually enjoy it. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I did that. So that was just a thought that kind of popped in.
You need just breaking it down. You need to look at this when you're talking and look at me, because I'm looking at you like, oh, okay.
You are
I'm like, where's my pen? I'm like,
oh my goodness. Now, you didn't warm my heart by saying that. I appreciate it because Lord knows you got all the slashes on your name. You have done
break it down, man. When it was like, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I want to say it just like that.
Hilarious.
I'm telling you, that part that I said I want to see.
Yeah, I am.
I will make sure. So good, man. You really broke it down. That was awesome.
Thank you. I just want people to be able to digest it and see how they can make it applicable to their own lives, because I think that's really important. So I just have two quick things. Hopefully one of them is quick, but I have to ask you this because I know that you're so knowledgeable about it, but we've already talked about how to maintain a healthy relationship. Now, this concept of Black love, because Black people in America, and I imagine just throughout the world in many ways, have experienced a lot of trauma in their lives. Do you feel, and I'm sure a lot of people everywhere have experienced trauma, But just as far as the Black experience and, how unique it can be, simply because a lot of times I feel like there was role reversal. At one point in time, you have the the strong, strapping men being able to kind of provide a protective barrier for the women. But then slavery, and over time, the male has been removed from homes. Women have felt more vulnerable, so they had to kind of become stronger, and then almost a dominating force sometimes, or they have to become way more self-sufficient than they may be comfortable with in order to protect their children, those types of things. How do you really feel like those particular experiences have affected our relationships in the Black community?
It has really affected our community. The society have brought in so many variables or constructs into our community that we have failed. I can't even find a word that actually hurts me to know that terms and phrase about each other. I mean, I'm still hearing debate about Black man, Black woman, when instead of being together and being one, and understanding that it's not about us, it's about outside of us that's trying to keep us apart, because things were designed to break us up.
Yeah.
Things were designed to keep us from pair bonding. And being aware of that, being aware that those things exist, right? Just like the term, I don't need a man, just like that term that came out. That term really came out, let me tell you, that term was so strong, it was just as strong as drugs going into our community.
Wow.
Because what that did was, our African-American women, it was a period that our African-American women were working and us Black men weren't, but we had a strategy. We knew that, we knew that, okay, they're giving you the jobs. That's cool. So I'm going to do such and such, right? That was a period that happened, right? And then but then they went back into the hat and pulled out another trick, and they were like, okay, we got to do something else to try to make them break up, right? So we got to keep them apart. And so all of these, like the I don't need a man term, when that came out, Black gender gap, that came out, and that was really strong. It was so strong that it had a major impact on some women still today that I've ran into, that now they're like, wow, I was just like, I do this on my own, I'm such and such. But what it is, it's like self-fulfilling prophecy. It's, again, we're going against the laws of nature when you're saying you don't need what God created for us to need, because we need each other. Let me tell you, in the world, we need everything. We need a man to go and work on the oil field so he can turn that oil into gas so we can put it in our car. We need a man and a woman. I meant man and woman too on the oil. So, excuse me. We need a man and a woman to go into the fields to pick tomatoes, because we're not going out there to pick that tomato to put in our salad, right? We need everybody. We need animals to contribute. We need the animals to contribute to the ozone layer, right? We need animals to feed us. We need fish, right? We don't want. So that slogan came out, I want. Wait a minute. When we talk about those desires, for each other. When we talk about desires to yearn, we have the desire to belong. Every living, breathing creature on this earth have the desire to belong, right? But what we do is try to go against the laws of nature. Well, what was done was for us to go against the laws of nature by putting that in our community and telling us and telling our Black women, hey, look, you don't need a Black man, do you? You can get your own education. You can get your own house. You can get your own this and that. And I'm always saying, hey, maybe you do have all of that, but at least that man can help you maintain what you have, right? Maybe he may not play the financial part right now, right, at this point, but maybe he could help maintain it while he's trying to get himself to where you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and our minds are so manipulated by this system where we're even at the point where we don't even want to help. We don't even want to help. We say, hey, you know, if he doesn't have his stuff together, you know, but sometimes things happen in people's lives.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And but those words, self-fulfilling prophecy, I don't need a man. Let me tell you, the more you say that, sisters, and even if you say that, brothers, the more you say that, what actually happens is that you create a network in your brain. You create a neural pathway in your brain. So the more you keep saying that, it's like the genie in your brain says, your wish is my command. And so now you wonder why you don't have a significant other. It's because you told your spirit, you told your brain, you tried to recondition the laws of nature. You don't need that you do not want that, right? And you caused yourself to suppress what is given to us. Remember what we talked about earlier, love. You taught your brain to suppress that you don't need what God created all of us to do. We all need. But you suppressed it. You managed to suppress it to the point where it may have been released, and now you realize, wow, I do want. And it becomes a little challenging, more challenging the older we get. So it's going to be more challenging now that you're older, you know. And I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's going to be a little difficult because you suppressed it for so long, right?
You got really good at it. You got really good because you get really good at it. You get good at, you know, saying, I don't need this. I don't need that in my life. And
it's no different than thinking positive, right? When they tell you to think positive, they tell you to meditate, right? And when you meditate and you use your creative visualization, right? And that's the same thing. So what the brain is saying is, oh, I guess this is positive then. We don't need, that's positive to you. And so it says your wish is my command. So what happens? This is something that's really, this is the deep part.
Yeah.
This is the real deep part. You see, I toured around talking about the birth control pill and male menopause and menopause. So this is a little tangential, so I hope I don't lose my track of thought. So real quick, what a birth control pill does is it makes you believe, it makes the body think and believe that it's pregnant, right? So when the body thinks it's pregnant, it shuts off everything that I need to attract a man to me because I'm already pregnant. So I don't need to release certain things that we talked about today, right?
Wow.
So imagine you telling your brain, I don't need that male species. What happens? It shuts off everything that you have to attract a male because it says, I don't need it. So all of the mechanics that's attached to your body, for instance, When a woman walks past a man, and I always say you watching one of God's commercials, right? So when a woman walks past a man, you actually exaggerate the walk unconsciously because again, you're marketing.
Interesting.
Yeah. When you are interested in a certain guy, we're talking about our pupils are wider.
Yeah.
To say, I like you.
Yeah.
They get smaller when I'm not interested in you. So that happens, your tone of voice gets higher and you release pheromone, right? So when that happens, because when you're on the pill, you don't ovulate, right? So it doesn't release the copulins, and then we talked about the copulins and the androstenone, right? Because again, the pill is saying, we don't need to do this because we're already pregnant, because we're doing this so we can attract a man to us, right? Because when you're ovulating, that's when you are attracting the male to tell the male that I'm ready to procreate, right? So when you're constantly saying, I don't need a man, you're telling the brain to tell other components of your brain to stop certain things that is happening in my body because I don't need those certain things. I want to say something real fast. I don't know how much time we have, but I want to say something real fast of how the brain works, right? So when we're talking of when we go through a thing that's called fight or flight, right? So the body is actually freeze, fight, or flight. You freeze for a sec, right? When you ever hear something, a gunshot, you don't start running instantly. You go, because what happens is that information that I just heard goes into the prefrontal cortex, and the prefrontal cortex says, oh, let me check it out first. Hold on. And the prefrontal cortex says, oh, that was an actual motorcycle. It was just, backfiring. You go, oh, wow, that wasn't a gun.
Yeah, right.
Well, at that moment, what happens is that the fight or flight, the amygdala, if the brain says yes, the prefrontal cortex says yes, then now we have a choice to fight or flight, fight or run, right? So what actually happens is the body shuts down our sympathetic nervous system. Our paral nervous system, and our sympathetic nervous system kicks in. And our sympathetic nervous system kicks in, it shuts down things. So the sympathetic nervous system comes in and it starts shutting things down. It says, okay, you don't need your digestive system. So just think, if I just ate a sandwich and I needed for it to digest, it stops it. It stops it. It says you don't need it, because right now we need the energy that we have because it takes energy to digest. So we don't need to digest because we need all the energy we got right now. And I need to borrow sugar and glucose from your parts of your body so we can have energy to fight, or so we can have energy to run. So it stops it. Exact same thing that you're asking when you say, I don't need a man, you're asking it to stop it. Stop it. Stop looking at a man. Stop wanting a man. And so it stops the components that attracts a man, like your look, your blinking your eyes, the way you walk, the way you flirt, the way you rub your hair, the way you smile.
Wow. Does this ever happen to men as well?
If he's telling himself the same thing,
like
he's saying, I don't need a woman.
Yeah, he just glazes over. What happens is individually we'll just glaze over.
We'll just glaze over. If that's what you keep telling yourself, I don't want no wife. I don't such and such, And next thing you know, you're 60 something alone.
Wow. All right. Well, that right there is an eye-opening message. And I'm so grateful that you shared that. What is one thing a person can do today to prepare themselves for a healthy relationship?
That's it. Preparing yourself is to prevent repairing yourself. Everything that we talked about, if you need to go and get books, if you need to go counseling, if you need to call me, if you need to spend some money to go and say, hey, I want to prepare for a relationship. I'm
Yeah.
not ready. Call me.
Yeah.
Call me. I will help you prepare for the relationship. We will talk about your non-negotiable requirements. We will talk about you being a conscious dater, right?
Yeah.
So you can be mindful, so you can be so conscious that you're not saying the wrong words. You know, never again goes back. I'm your genie, your wish
is my command.
is my command. You
Yeah.
know, you talk about how to, how to prepare, how to screen, sort, test, how to interview, how to ask the right questions. Because woman, you are the employer. Us men, we're interested in trying to get the job.
All right. And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. That's what that is.
I ask women, how is it that you got married? And they say, because he asked me. That's not how you got married. You got married because you said yes, because the power lies in your hands. The bottom line is that you're the employer. You have to do the interviewing to see if he qualifies to be hired into your business.
Well, I'm loving this. All I know is we're going to have to figure out a way to get you back at a future time. But I want people, if they're looking to do the work and they want to do that, or they just want to follow what you have to say and hear more about, other interviews and other things that you're doing, how can people get in touch with you? How can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, they could, my website, I hope it's not down by the time you do, but if so, there's other ways that you can contact me. My website is drryeal.com, drryalsimms.com, RYEAL. They'll see the name.
Oh yeah, I'll have that in the description box.
And you could go to Facebook. Or the Facebook that I really use is just Ryeal Simms, the relationship scientist. And there's a business one too as well. And you can go to I'm just starting. Don't laugh. I'm just starting to use Instagram and Twitter. Yeah. For so long I've been on Facebook. They like, you need to get on Instagram. You need to get on Twitter. I was like, I had them for years.
Yeah,
they were there. But and two, because I've been going and speaking on what's the new one, Clubhouse. So it forces me to use Instagram.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Instagram, and I'm sorry, I said that new app. Is that okay on your?
No, it's fine. Okay. Absolutely.
Right. And so you could contact me on that too as well, and it's Dr. Ryeal. And if you're looking for counseling, if you're looking for coaching, sometimes you're not looking for counseling. You just might want to be coached, right? Call me and or email me, either one. And let's preparing yourself is to prevent repairing yourself.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you so much for your time. I feel like this was so, I love breaking stuff down because we think, what I'm saying? We think that a lot of things are very surface and it's way deeper than that. And we have to, when we understand that it's a lot that goes on and going into a certain thing, then we can be better prepared for that certain thing. And so thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you are so welcome. And in the future, you're going to have to be my interpreter. I'm going to be on the stage and you're going to be somewhere on the side of the stage with your microphone. And what he meant was, and you're going to break it down like you were breaking it down.
Oh, you got to understand, I would love to do that because I needed to be all the way clear because I don't know what Andromeda is, but I know that we got to make sure that we get it together and we don't just be getting together with the wrong person and all of that. So I appreciate it. I would love to do that. This is definitely something I'm excited about. And I think it's something that can really serve people. Thank you again.
Yeah,
and I am super excited. All right.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.